EGAD your feed, and we're jumping into game number 3 of the night of day 2 here. It's going to be Cognitive Gaming, hungry for a win, going up against Napkins in Disguise, who are looking to secure spot number 2 in their division.
Yeah, and both these teams have played quite a lot in the Challenger scene. They've been around for a long time, a lot of good established rosters. Formerly of Denial Esports is Napkins in Disguise. They did change their name up a little bit there. But you know these names. You've seen them around before if you've been in the Challenger scene. iDream up top is fantastic. Ziplock's jungle is very aggressive and hyper aggro. Well, the same kind of words I just put together there. But either way, he's a very good jungler. Zamfira, known for his Lulu mid, now been switching it up a little bit as it sometimes got banned out, and maybe he just switched up to adapt to the meta there. Playing a lot of Orianna, which is really good. And then Nothing Here and Zane King in the bot lane. If you don't know who they are, you need to watch their games or spectate somehow. They are a very, very strong duo bot lane.
Yeah, and just to add to the emphasis that you're putting on Cognitive Gaming, it's not like these guys are 0-3 without a good reason. They've lost to Coast, who are undefeated, GGLA, who are nigh undefeated, very, very close to it, just like one loss. And then they lost to Curse Gaming, who is an LCS team. So these guys are definitely one of the better teams in the Challenger circuit. You've actually seen them already at PAX Prime, but they're also going up against a team that, well, I know a lot about in Napkins in Disguise. They're 3-1 right now. And they're definitely have been looking like a strong team, but they are so spotty. I guess the go-to saying is, if it's a game that's really important, Napkins in Disguise will lose it. But if it's any other game against any other team, they have the potential to blow them out.
Yeah, and Inox not forcing out a Nidalee buff is forcing out a Nidalee ban is very interesting, because normally teams try to get that one away from him, but in this kind of meta where it's like all any assassin burst heavy kind of champions, his Nidalee hasn't been the main target ban lately, and you see Cassin, Gragas, and Renekton being the targets for that, and then Lulu, Zyra, and Jax being banned out for the side of Napkins in Disguise. Still fearing Zamfira's Lulu there, as it was their first ban. That freed up Zed, though, which Zamfira has been playing in solo queue like crazy, and it's Faker-esque.
Well, Zed is left on the board, but if you want to look at it, so are Ari and so are Fizz, which you can wind up going head-to-head in the lane matchup against Zed and come out extremely well off. So we'll have to see if maybe Napkins in Disguise stick W Pooh Bear in the mid lane on that, but it's left open a lot of things. Lee Sin is a threat from the jungle or top lane from Napkins in Disguise, and it's also left open the very powerful AD carry pickup right now of Corki, which it looks like these two are going to be snatched up right away.
Yeah, Flappy Bearfish's Corki is something that's very devastating. I didn't even talk about Napkins in Disguise this side. They have Glebe Glarbu, a challenger level support who came in. He's been with this team for quite a while and has been doing some phenomenal things with his Zyra support. If he picks that up for his Corki lane, that is just so annoying to deal with. You can't get in, you can't close the distance. Caitlyn has a rough time against that lane as well, so we'll see what Cognitive can pick up to counter that. And Lee Sin is what Scuba Chris is known for. He's not best Lee Sin in A unlike Smithy, but he is one of the top Lee Sin jungles.
Yeah, and well, Scuba Chris Lee Sin is a very, very deadly thing to behold. He's like omnipresent on the map. He's always everywhere. So he's a very deadly character to be put in the hands of someone like Chris, who likes to accelerate his lanes extremely early on. It used to be Napkins in Disguise style to camp mid lane, get W Pooh Bear an advantage, and then snowball that completely out of control. But in recent times, we've seen Scuba Chris gank very heavily for Enox, or even try to accelerate their already powerful bottom lane combination. So having Corki, who has a lot of potential just right now in the meta with Trinity Force. In the mid game, he has a lot of burst power. Getting Corki ahead with someone like Lee Sin, who can dive through into a tower, kick someone back, secure a kill, and get out, is a very powerful addition to a lineup.
And speaking of powerful addition to a lineup, it looks like Annie Caitlyn are going to be picked up. So that is most likely going to be a support Annie, which has been blowing up in the NA Challenger scene as well as in solo queue a lot. I don't have the best record with it. I'm not the best at playing any support. I try and I just keep failing. But Zane King, I'm thinking will pull it off much better than I could.
Well, Annie's a very extremely bursty support. She demands a couple of wards in the brush, otherwise she's going to come out and establish a lot of lane dominance. And I'm liking NID's response right here. Picking up Sona, someone that can poke her and someone that can out-sustain the damage she's going to be using or putting down upon you by stunning and locking you down. That's one of the ways to counteract the Annie lane. However, having someone that is very long range like Caitlyn to harass upon Corki, we saw it in the last game between Curse Gaming and Curse Academy. Corki was not in a good spot against that Caitlyn and was able to just fall super far behind. I believe it was 17 CS deficit just a couple of minutes into the game without any jungle ganks.
Yeah, and now we are seeing potentially Glue Globber's Thresh here, which does get locked in, and Jungle Vi. Oh, wait, no. This could be a top lane Vi or a mid lane Vi. You never know what they could whip out here to go up against Zed. Vi is a pretty strong answer to going up against Zed 1v1, but I think we might see Inox's Lee Sin top. I have to wait to see what the last pick is for Napkins in Disguise to make any assumptions here, or just wait till they swap. You know, that seems like a logical thing to do.
Well, the Vi jungler is another very mobile, very snowbally jungler. So if Chris is going to be taking some of the kills, whether it be on Lee Sin or Vi, both of them go very, very well. And the thing is here, Lee Sin, if he's in the top lane, he can also build a lot of damage kind of centric style. I know Enox, if he's taking it into the top lane, has loved that Ravenous Hydra. So it wouldn't be a
Yes.
surprise to me whatsoever to see him taking top Lee Sin and jungle Vi in combination. But the fact that Thresh has fallen so far through the bans phase and kind of had any support go first just kind of speaks as to what both of these teams are looking to do. If you see from the side of Cognitive, they have any support. We can lock people up and we'll blow them up in lane. Zed in the late game, he can just assassinate a target, and they need a little bit of sustainability and a little bit of longevity to their lineup. So they pick up someone that can build Tenki out of the jungle, which is Aatrox, and then Vladimir, who will naturally scale extremely powerful into the late game.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice pickup. And Vladimir, he, as you said before, will scale. He can go in 2v1s. They're not the most favorable, but either way, he scales out of it okay. And if he does pick up a kill or two in that early stage of the game and get that early spectral, Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, get the extra CDR, a lot of sustain coming in from that, he could become the monster that Napkins in Disguise do not want to face against. But they could pick up Orianna here, and that would signal the ball onto Vi with an assault and battery and then shockwave combination, which would be so deadly. And it's probably one of the best combos next to like Ahri Vi
Yeah.
in that mid lane jungle matchup partnership or whatever you want to call it. Marriage, I guess, kind of. You know, the jungle and the mid lane are kind of married there.
We'll call it a union. We'll call it a union, I think.
Union. But he's flipping between Ahri and Ori and does lock in the Ori, so we will see that Orianna mid.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those locked in. And with the Orianna, this is kind of more of a, rather than a skill matchup with Ahri against Zed, this is more of a safe lane for the side of Napkins in Disguise. All Orianna really has to do is put an extra point or two into that command protect. Yeah, she's not going to be dealing as much damage in the mid stage of the game, but she's also going to prevent Zed from being able to, well, one-shot her once he hits level 6 with Deathmark, or if he gets a powerful jungle gate coming out from Captain Ziplock's jungle Aatrox. So it's like you said, it synergizes extremely well. If Lee Sin or Vi go in, or even Thresh, if he lands a hook and is able to jump into a middle of a team, put the box down with the command shockwave, it's a very strong composition coming out from the side of Napkins in Disguise. But I do like some of the assassination potential more coming out from Cognitive with that Zed.
Yeah, that Zed can outplay Shockwave, can outplay Hook, can outplay Kick. Zed is the outplay champion. And also the counter engage they could have with the Annie support as well as initiation she brings to the table. You've seen Royals Tabe do it before. You've seen him just flash in with Tibbers and just start whole chain fights. You could throw the ball into Tibbers and Shockwave, and or throw it onto Annie when she flashes in, as unfavorable as that might be. Oh no, I'm thinking of Orianna being on the other team. Excuse me, but Annie could just counter engage.
Yeah.
I'm switching up the teams.
Yeah, well, it's when you have that much AoE, it's very, very difficult to kind of find out who's going to be casting it and where. But guys, while we're counting down the spectator lane and waiting for this game to kick off, don't forget to check out the link below of stream here to check out Loot Crate, one of our sponsors here at the NACL, for the best new gear, snacks, toys, hardware, even art, and more every single month. Don't forget to sign up for Loot Crate, because when you do using the link below, you're directly supporting us here at the NACL.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, you'll be loaded in and seeing the action, unless there's a pause like usual. But till then, enjoy.
Under the sea.
Is Optimus Tom and I. We are actually under the stream. I don't know where we are. We're spectating the stream
I'm
somehow.
under my house, actually. I'm in the basement.
Yeah, me too. I'm not in a closet, though. I'm in a room. You guys are getting it all wrong. Either way, I'm Egad, and Optimus Tom is joining me here for game number 3 of tonight. It's going to be, Cognitive Gaming taking on Napkins in Disguise as they position around the mid lane and get a ward drop out from Glebe Glabru in that river brush. And we do have Zamfire Ziploc and nothing here, sitting in that nice little Crushing Banana brush.
Yeah, NID, it looks like they're the ones that are going to be trying maybe for some cheeky maneuvers at level 1. They do have the Thresh hook, of course, to try to make something happen here. They're all just grouped up, making sure it looks like that nobody from the side of Cognitive is going to be trying to invade on them. And they put down wards on their side of the river towards their jungle entrances because they don't want Cognitive Gaming having the information that a team normally gets from placing those Wraith wards deep in the enemy side. So they might be up to something early on because of this.
Yeah, as you see 5 members rotating towards that red buff side, they're going to be spotted up by a nice ward that was placed there from Zane King. And now he's checking with the Sonic Wave, just in connect. So they're going to move up further. Glebe Glab going to drop one ward. I think he's going to drop 3 in total, possibly. 1 by the entrance of the lane, 1 by red, and they're all going to back up. So they're going to go back and go to their red, most likely.
Yeah, it looks like they're just warding up to get vision down on the enemy jungler. And, well, Piltover Peacemaker, they're stopping them from the back's a little bit annoying. And Flappy's got to run away. He's on a ward right there. But they are going to wind it back in. They get some forward vision at the cost of just having 1 ward placed by their Wraith camp from the side of Cognitive. So not necessarily. If you want to talk about ward trades in this one, I think NID kind of came out ahead.
Yes, for sure. They they got in there nice and deep and then just dropped the 2. They know the red timing now. They might like to counter it. They might like to fight for it. They'll have a good position and timing on when Ziploc does rotate his blue, and a good timing front if he's going to gank top or mid. But either way, both junglers are going to have a nice safe start. No shenanigans in the jungle level 1.
Not as of yet. We did see one bad Brad from Curse Academy last game invading after a full jungle clear on Aatrox, just dueling out the enemy jungler. Scuba Chris, he does actually like starting on Vi. He goes for those denting blows, gets a little bit extra damage, and that attack speed lets Vi go to the jungle extremely quick, actually. So after this red buff clear, if Aatrox wants to maybe go and try to fight Chris, he actually might be able to duel him out at the early levels, but we'll see if they wind up doing that whatsoever.
Yeah, and for now, we do have Navi Pooh Bear with that Command Protect, just laying in some damage on Zamfire on that Zed. Orianna having one of the better matchups against Zed. She can harass him out early. That passive stacking up 3 times adds in so much magic damage on hit. So that is one of the benefits to that. But Zed, level 6, could look to all in with some help of the jungler. Either way, Zane King has the stun prepped and ready for Annie. Rocking that Little Red Riding Annie, so her Tibbers is going to be a nice big bad wolf. Either way, they're just shoving it down and abusing the 625 range that Annie does have to lay in some free auto attacks when she can.
Yeah, and I actually want to mention this mid lane matchup that you talked about very, very briefly again. Not only is Nabi Poover going to be able to harass with those auto attacks and stay safe with Command Protect, but he's also running Barrier on Orianna, which is kind of the bane of assassins in the mid lane as of late. Popping that on top of a level 2 Command Protect just gives you almost, I want to say it's about 250 effective extra HP in that matchup, which Zed just isn't going to be able to burst through at the beginning stage of the game.
Yeah, very good point coming in. We do have Vi rotating around while Zane King and nothing here just keep establishing their dominance, as well as a nice zone could be established with that trap being set down there. We do have Vi coming around the back right now. This could potentially be a 2v2 in this mid lane. Gonna apply the red buff, gets the slow, gets the knock-up. We do have the Command Protect being applied, but not overextending. Gonna keep it down to some poke as Nubby Pooh Bear was a little bit low on mana.
Yeah, the low mana Orianna as well as Aatrox coming at the backside just kind of makes Zamfire not too afraid to just walk away from that one. So Scuba Chris, like we said, likes applying pressure in the middle lane early on in this game. We'll see if he winds up rotating around towards top or bottom now that unfortunately didn't pan out the way he thought so.
Looks like he's gonna... No, it looks like Captain Ziploc's just going to sit mid, get some farm. Inox is applying some pressure to iDream, though. He's a turret shot for his troubles and some auto attack harass, so that's not going to be too good for him. As you said before, though, Scuba Chris is rotating towards bot. 1 Lantern with the Death Sentence could signal a really bad time for nothing here in Zane King, though.
Yeah, and if he's actually able to charge up that Vault Breaker, hit the Lantern, and then go in onto Annie or Caitlyn, it's going to be devastating as he's just hiding out of range by that tower. Let's see, there's the Lantern.
He flashes in, plays, gets it, the exhaust comes out, no stun just yet, gets the nice cone from that W, but it looks like they're going to give the kill over to Flappy Bearfish. That first blood gold, gonna go to him, much needed, and a really good Lantern play from Glebe Glabber. This is why this man is a challenger level support.
Not only that, he takes the Lantern in and then uses the Vault Breaker after the flash goes down, so he's able to secure a kill on a target there, and they just wait around. It looked like it was a half-second lag spike, but it's just them donating the kill to the AD carry because they know Flappy Bearfish wants that to snowball that lane ahead.
Yeah, Corki, if he can pick up that Phage early, get a lot of tankiness, that passive buff, even though it's half now, is still really good for catching on targets. We do have Aatrox sneaking his way into that brush, though. Could potentially see another 2v2 with the help of the jungler, while Scuba Chris is helping Nubby shove out that mid lane against Zamfira, who is still really healthy and actually holding onto this lane really well.
We'll see how patient Ziploc is, because there's no ward in that brush, and they pinged it out that it's clear. As soon as Annie gets back into lane, we'll see if Flappy and Glogbu go aggressive, because that's the turning point here for Cognitive.
Yeah, as Stun is not prepped just yet for Zane King. He's level 3. I'm going to see what actually he has skilled up right now. He has 2 into his W, the Incinerate, and then 1 into Disintegrate. So no shield for him just yet to stack up the stun faster, though, which is interesting. So just flat raw damage going to be coming out for him as he levels up the shield now.
Yeah, and just deciding to play it safe. Atkins and this guy's not going to overextend on an Annie who just came back to lane with, although she has items and they're all consumables, she still came back with items. So they're not going to overextend and not fall for that little bit of a bait, as we see just everything kind of settling down now as top lane. It's kind of been going back and forth. First, we saw Enox push into the tower, abuse Vladimir being a little bit weaker in the early stages and force him back. But now that Vladimir's come back to lane with double cloth armor, it's starting to push more towards Enox's side.
What do you think of Boost of Mobility as the first item for a jungler being Scuba Chris with that Vi?
It means that he needs to be extremely active on the map, like we said Chris likes to be. Going Boots of Mobility means that you can gank places a lot sooner, although it does delay whatever Spirit Stone item you're going to be getting. In this case, I'd assume Spirit Stone, the Ancient Golem on Jungle Vi to be a little bit tankier for the team. So if he doesn't capitalize with getting an assist or a kill, much like a Jungle Jarvan needs to do, he's not really going to be, he's going to be regretting the choice of shoes first, I think.
All right, so we will see if the shoes come to haunt him, or maybe they'll just come to effect and get him a nice kill while up top. Forcing the pull out is Inox with a nice Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. We do potentially have a dive coming in on Nubby Pooba there, though, to get the silence, to get the Dark Flight, but he does just walk right on out there with a Compare Protect. And they are pinging out the blue buff is currently has spawned, and we might see this one over to Nubby Pooba, or maybe he will just forego the blue buff, help Scuba Chris at level 6 faster in the jungle.
We'll have to see about this one. Zamfira put a lot of pressure down on the Nubby, and there's a large minion wave. So if he does move for that blue buff, not only is it ordered out so Zamfira can maybe get a pick on him, but it would have given a lot of experience waves. You see Scuba Chris does secure it for himself. So a indirect denial of blue buff over to Nubby Pooh Bear.
And we actually saw him Vault Breaker through the wall there trying to catch out Zamfira, but could not. So either way, he has that blue buff, he's keeping it. And the Lantern thrown out there a little bit early from Glarbu, and picks up the souls like he does normally. We see Scuba Chris actually use the Vault Breaker for the dragon while the ping onto where Zamfira is. But up top, it's just been the island of farm. But Inox is winning out in it quite heavily.
Yeah, and so far from the side of Cognitive, they've been really good about warding up their jungle, knowing that Chris, they see he goes Boots of Mobility. All he can do is hit the tab window and see what the jungler has gotten. When he has those Boots of Mobility, they're warding their own jungle because they know that Vi can jump over those walls and set up ganks that they might not be expecting. So keeping Vi on that Boots of Mobility purchase, but not having it pay off, is going to set Chris a little bit behind, whereas Aatrox, going for those double Doran's blades, he can sit there and farm the jungle, and if he gets a successful gank off or not, he'll wind up continuing towards the normal itemization he usually gets.
Zamfira and Ziploc are making their way up top. They're going to get spotted out here by Scuba Chris, who is going to just Vault Breaker right away, and it might potentially be a 3v2 up top, potentially a dive with that global passive available, but I think they're going to play it safe and keep trying to get the CS that they need, as with that Vladimir being a little bit behind, it kind of hurts them. In the bot lane, that Phage was completed. A pickaxe was picked up for nothing here, though, so going to combat some of that tankiness with some raw damage from the pickaxe, and that Piltover Peacemaker still going to hurt quite a bit. While up top, iDream getting initiated on. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike, some auto attacks coming in with the Flurry. Do keep him zoned away from some of that CS, but he's going to lose some of it to turret.
Cognitive actually playing a little bit scared right there. They had a 3v2 dive. As soon as they saw Nubby walk into the brush, they backed away. And Nubby showed himself back in lane, and they decided to still relieve the pressure right there. So they're definitely trying to minimize the amount of mistakes they're making, not let that jungle Vi snowball out of control. And, well, now they have a roaming Zed on their side through all that ward control they had early on.
Yeah, and we see Vault Breaker coming through. He just shadows right onto the wall, gets out of there, keeps it safe. And yeah, just no ganks, nothing yet. Still 10 minutes, only 1 kill, but it's in favor of Napkins in Disguise, who are very content with that, as well as snowballing a nice 1,000 gold lead almost.
And that denial of blue buff early on to Nubby Pooh Bear in the mid lane, he's fallen behind in CS even though Zed has left lane twice or even more so far. He's had to go and build the Chalice even though he's in a matchup where he's against the Zed, and Vladimir will deal magic damage in the late games. It's not the most ineffective item, but he needs it to sustain his mana and try to get that CS. He's falling behind in the early stages of the game, and Zed is continuously shoving the lane into his face, which is allowing him to be a little bit mobile, and it's keeping Scuba Chris kind of on Zed patrol rather than gank duty.
And speaking of gank duty, we might have Scuba Chris coming down. Zane King hasn't dropped that last pink ward that he has in his inventory, so Scuba Chris could look to come in with the Lantern or just a Bolt Breaker flash of his own to Assault and Battery. We will see is Scuba Chris going back to base, and no gank is going to come to effect here. Up top, everything just pushing, a lot of sustaining, a lot of fighting. Brutalizer was one of the semi-big items Inox picked up there. Souls getting collected by the Lantern, and still very, very passive game coming in while iDream does get forced to pull there by Inox.
Yeah, and the safe play from Cognitive, the wards that they had in the river area died immediately. They just fell back.
Yeah, and up top, Inox is forcing the Ghost out of iDream here. He still has Flash available to him. Eats the Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike comes through, gets the kick, gets the Ignite, and gets the kill. That's Inox with the burst damage. With the help of the Brutalizer, goes right on through that double cloth armor.
On top of really good aim for that Sonic Wave Resonating Strike combination for Enox, he also had a great judge of the damage, knowing that he could just full combo and then walk away from the Ignite there. Fighting far away from your own minions, you might normally think, well, oh, okay, it might not be the best idea, but when you're against a Vladimir, he needs that transfusion to live through any damage you're putting onto him, so fighting far away from your minions actually helps him secure the kill right there.
Yeah, and a nice swift kill to the face, picks up the kill. Well, now Dragon is going to be fought for here potentially, as Zamfira is not even close to that. Throws the shadow over the wall, sees it's gone, gets the timer, and it's going to be first Dragon of the game going to denial. Oh my god, Napkins in Disguise.
Napkins in denial, you could call him that. I think it still winds up working. But yeah, they wanted to pick up a kill on top lane. They forced the pressure on the bottom lane just because the wards expired. They put the pink ward down at Dragon, and they have Scuba Chris moving around with those boots of mobility. Even though he hasn't really capitalized from it, they gained map control because of it, and they transitioned that into Global Golden Dragon, so it's a worthwhile purchase for him.
A very worthwhile purchase, as Angel gives me the damn please. But either way, we're going to see Sheen picked up. The Trinity Force is almost completed for Flappy Bearfish. Just needs a couple hundred more gold. Get that one down. And we will see them look to possibly get that Assault and Battery Shockwave combination on Zamfire if they can in the mid lane, as Scuba Chris has been making rounds. He's been trying to gank. He's been farming up that jungle. Not as well as Ziploc, though. But either way, he's got the extra Dragon Gold in his pocket, and that Spirit Stone building towards Ancient Golem, and Blue Buff is finally going to go over to Nubby Pooh Bear.
Yeah, Nubby's going to get a much-needed blue buff in that mid lane. And talking about the junglers, Chris, like we said, he likes moving around the map. He likes creating pressure and presence just by being Scuba Chris. Whereas on the flip side here, Ziploc, he's gone extremely gank-heavy, and he hasn't really succeeded. We saw him patiently waiting in bottom lane. It didn't work out. He came in for a couple passes in top and mid lane, and nothing really came into fruition for him. But he's gone back and picked up boots of mobility of his own, so even later into the game than when Scuba Chris has picked them up, he needs to really make something happen with this item acquisition. Otherwise, you don't normally see Jungle Aatrox going for boots of mobility. You see him going to be a Blade of the Rune King holder and then going into a tank that the team needs to initiate.
And speaking of initiation, we might have Aatrox doing some of that down bot. There is a ping going in. It looks like they forced the flash out of Glee Glabru from the Dark Flight coming in from Ziploc, scaring that one away from Thresh. While up top, still Inox, pressuring his advantage, building towards what looks like it's going to be a Ravenous Hydra build. So as he said, he's favoring that item, especially on Lee Sin.
He wants to get that Brutalizer early to build, or just kind of damage through any sort of armor that Vladimir is naturally going to want to build. Normally, Vladimir, he wants to go for the Spirit Stone of the Spectral Wraith, so you can wind up getting that sustain, the cooldown reduction, very effective item. It also helps him take out the minions a little bit quicker when he split pushes. But then he's going to be going for Azania's Hourglass, so getting the armor penetration against the double cloth armor means that Enox, well, he's able to pick up kills because of that. Now building towards that Ravenous Hydra, he's going to be a menace whether he's with the team or split pushing in the late game.
We just saw right there, Scuba Chris was checking the blue buff. It was up. It forced Ziploc to take it, though, instead of giving it to Zamfira. So Nubby Pooh Bear is going to be up in that regard, as well as being able to spam that command attack and dissonance like he is to clear the waves in one shot, which is pretty good. And I want to see, what does Nubby Pooh Bear max on his Orianna first? Looks like Dissonance. All right, so I've seen a variation of it. It's usually command attack and then command dissonance, but he's looking for a lot of wave push, I guess, against this Zed.
One of the ways that you can... Oh, actually, bottom lane action going on.
Yeah, the flash was forced out there from a dissonance from Clean Glarbu, and that's it. Nothing else going to come out, but actually Vi is coming down, so we could see another Lantern pull into a Vault Breaker into Assault and Battery this time, as he does Vault Breaker over the wall, so they don't know he's there. As it is going to come in. Here goes the crit. Ow, that's a Trinity Force crit coming in. Timbers gets dropped, but it's not enough as nothing here picks up another kill in that lane. And Scuba Chris going to dive onto Zane King. That Annie is going to drop Ignite, though, and try to burst down Scuba Chris, which he does. And he makes it a 1 for 2 at least, and got something, so hashtag worth.
Well, it might not be done quite yet. Down comes Ziploc and Zamfira, but so is Nubby Pooh Bear.
Uh-oh, he's going to throw the minutes, throw out the command attack. There's Dark Flight coming through, throws another command attack, Shockwave. Can he pick up at least the Bloodwell passive while the Death Ward gets applied, and the Ignite coming in from Zamfira, forcing the flash of the Rocket. Picks up the Bloodwell, and now who's going to pick up the kill? The Dissonance in the auto attack, pick up the kill for Flappy Bearfish, and that is a 3-0 Corky. That is a very, very dangerous man.
Could have been a 4-0. Could have been a 4-0 Corky, actually, if that kill had not gone to Glee Glorbu underneath the tower. But still, Flappy Bearfish, Glee Glorbu, they come up and support Nubby Pooh Bear maybe a second or two later than they might have wanted to, but it keeps the opposing team from Cognitive grouped up thinking, hey, we can wind up nuking down Nubby before they even come down and come into this one. But unfortunately, wasn't enough damage to get him down. Aatrox just a little bit too low coming into that one. Gets blown up extremely fast.
He's using that Trinity Force to his advantage, but there is an Annie. She got the stun. She threw out the Incinerate and picked up the kill, as a little too aggressive there, Flappy Manfish.
Flappy Bearfish winds up going a little bit too aggro there, maybe feeling some confidence after going 3-0 and picking up a tower for his troubles, but didn't necessarily count on the Annie coming in, locking up with a stun, but at least in that for Napkins in Disguise here, the shutdown of that killing spree went to support Annie rather than going to Caitlyn.
She can still blow just as hard, but I don't think she's going to build any AP here. She's got the Sightstone, she's got Pinks, a lot of potions, and how much money did she pick off of that kill? It looks like about 500. So I feel like she's just going to go for a Sightstone and Boots, while in the mid lane, Scuba Chris is going to clear out this wave, interrupt the Shadow just a little bit, and force Zamfira to back off.
Yeah, and now Napkins in Disguise have been the aggressors onto this one. They've gotten that first dragon, which is actually to be coming up in about 30 seconds. But now the tower sieging from Caitlyn is coming into effect. Even though we've had nothing here, kind of been getting ganked and being shut down, he has a large CS advantage over Flappy Bearfish right now. So they're going to be able to knock down that bottom tower, and the mid towers, both of them are still up. So that's actually not the worst thing in the world, because that forward pressure from the blue side pushing minions means that they have a little bit extra control over Dragon.
Yeah, and with that, we do have a Zamfira roaming around. He's got Ziploc on that Aatrox coming in. There's a ward there. It is spotted out by a pink, though. No one cleared that out just yet. Zane King picked up a blue buff, though, off that bottom gauge. And will be looking to do something as a Lantern comes over, drops a ward. A nice little Lux ward there, actually. Pretty cool looking. And now... yeah, you're right. And the poke from Zamfira, though, is doing quite a bit just with a Brutalizer and a Bilgewater Cutlass.
Well, one thing that Napkins of Disguise had over COG was the Dragon timer. Cognitive did not necessarily see Napkins in Disguise take the first one, so they didn't know exactly what time it was going to be coming up with. They used this to bait them towards Dragon and then let Enoch split push that top lane down.
We almost had Ziploc falling there. He didn't have his Bloodwell passive coming through. A lot of damage coming from that Trinity Force. Jesus Christ. Corky is a monster with that item still, even after a little nerf to Phage. He's picking up a pickaxe and going to be building towards Last Whisper, while in the mid lane, iDream forced the pull. Sonic Wave does not connect. There was a little laugh there. And this tier 1 in the mid lane, going to get taken down to below half and possibly taken down if no one responds. Not going to go in with that Resonating Strike, though, is Inox. And one more auto attack, laying into it, and it will be Scuba Chris that picks it up for the third turn of the game.
Pushing and pulling COG out of position around that Dragon area has net Napkins in Disguise 2 towers for their trouble. So even if they give up this Dragon for free against them, net gold is definitely going to be in their favor. And going back to that point with Corky, having a Trinity Force on him, I don't know if it's just Trinity Force Corky or 3 kills to nothing Corky.
A little bit of both, you know. items in the player and the champion kind of make it all synergize well together, while the tier 2 up top is getting pushed.
Yeah, and this is actually Enox responding. He didn't go back with the rest of his team, so while they wound up going down to Dragon, had all their focus on the bottom side of the map, guess what? Enox is split push before he even went back and finished that Ravenous Hydra, His two towers are already down in lane. That's what we like to see coming out from Enox in the top lane. It's a throwback to his Nidalee play style, where it was just, you can't really fight me by yourself. I'm going to push down your towers while my team pulls you everywhere else on the map. And Napkins in Disguise, they're utilizing it extremely effectively here, net themselves about a 4K gold advantage.
A really good map sense from Inox there, knowing what they were all doing. The Dragon picks up the turret, puts it to a 4-1 turret lead, and still a 4.4k gold advantage for Napkins in Disguise. Zamfire hasn't gotten that Zed snowball train, or Zed hype train, I don't know. Zed feed train, I don't know what you want to call it. Going in, he's still 0-0-0, but he's almost got 200 CS at 20 minutes. They're going towards perfect CS as well as Nubby Pooh Bear, so the farming game is very even between these mid laners, as well as the 80 carries.
This is after Nubby had a disadvantage in mid lane and Flappy had a disadvantage in bottom lane. Just overall pressure on the map from Napkins in Disguise is letting those laners come back into the game and get the farm that they need. Vladimir is pretty far behind in not only his farm, but his itemization compared to what Enox has, because not only is he down in farm and a kill in that lane, but he's down those 3 towers. The Dragons have been equalized, but all that pressure that the rest of NID has gotten on the map means that Vladimir at this point, he can't deal with Enox 1v1. Enox is going to demand dual members of Cognitive to respond, or Cognitive's going to wind up giving something else up to him.
Yeah, and speaking of giving something up, we might have a Zed coming in from the side here. Chris is waiting in the back. Death Sentence connects. Are they going to choose to go in on this one? They do. They get the exhaust. He's looking for the Death Mark on Corki, who nicely Valkyrie from that, but the knocker from Ziploc comes in. There's a shockwave that connects to nobody. The Bloodwell came up, and the pop from Zamfire picks up the kill on Scuba Chris. Nubby Pooper chasing this one down. Flashing in his his Flappy Bearfish, though. Looking to get double buffs for himself. Gets the auto attack. Dark Flight is not enough to juke out. And in a 3v4, it's a 1-for-1 so far, as the Death Sentence only hits that poor innocent minion. And that was a really good turnaround from Napkins.
Yeah, it's actually a very good situation for Cognitive as well. It looked like Zamfire overextended for Corki, who kind of, I'm not going to call it an outplay, but he kind of baited him into it by Valkyrieing away. But the good focus to switch immediately onto Scuba Chris, who was kind of locked up in the middle of everybody at that point with the Orianna shockwave going down. They have themselves a 1-for-1 trade while they're behind. So going even while you're behind isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world.
Not at all. And now that blue buff Corki, though, is going to be a real terror for this for this bot turret, as he'll have infinite missiles, have the cooldown internally reduced for the missiles, while iDream is looking to try to snipe Inox with the Tides of Blood, but could not, unfortunately. And yeah, Inox is going to farm the wolves and keep pushing up top, as Vladimir can't kill him, and he can't kill Vladimir just yet.
Well, the map is pretty much Enox's to farm at this point. Unless they send someone else up there, like we said, Vladimir cannot deal with him 1v1. So he can farm minions, he can farm jungle camps, he can farm Vladimir if he really wanted to. But he doesn't necessarily want to overcommit. We did see Zamfira Zed kind of skirting around the wolf camp area, and he is doing a good job of not only just playing aggressively and farming everything on the map, but playing smartly and warding behind him as well to keep himself safe.
Yeah, and wards all over the map currently for the side of Napkins in Disguise. They have that whole red side ward. It's a nice little line of wards, but Zane came with the Oracles, is going to look to break that chain, as he does drop his own wards. Use that Sight Stone. He has a Philo Stone instead of a Ruby Crystal, so trying to get some GP10, as well as Gleep Larbu. But Gleep Larbu was ahead, 1 kill and 4 assists, but 2 kills on Annie. Still helped her out with those items, as well as the Oracles that she bought. And they're standing on top of Ward, Nubby Pooper and Scuba Chris, so they got pinged out there and decided to back out.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ward there, even though it's a pink ward in the brush from the side of NID, they can't really see around that bend unless you have it in the perfect position in the middle to see both. Now that Gleeglago has an Oracle's Elixir, though, they're going to be like, oh, well, there's a ward there. That's why they were backing away from us.
All right. We are going to see as Oracles for Gleeglago are going to clear out that. And just playing some games with Ziploc. It's like, play the Lantern. Oh, wait, you can't. You're not on my team. But now, last whisper finish for Inox on the Lee Sin. Static Shift for nothing here. Last whisper for Corki, being Flappy Bearfish. So those nice items are coming through now in this 24 minutes stage of the game. 24 minute stage of the game.
Yeah, and, well, now we have, well, looks like Cognitive, a bunch of them are grouping up towards this mid lane. They want to try to knock down some of these outer towers. The past couple games we've seen with Caitlyn, they do the rotation of knocking down towers and sieging with the Caitlyn very effectively. In this comp, though, there's no dedicated tank to soak up damage and let Caitlyn safely sit behind. Aatrox, the problem with him is if he doesn't get going in the early game, he doesn't necessarily scale as well as, say, Vi, who may not get going in the early game, does either. He hasn't also built pure tanky like Vi has been able to do, going for a Spirit Stone, the Ancient Golem on Scuba Chris. He's gone more for the double Doran's Blade, but had to just go into an Aegis after.
Goodbye, Zane King, and hello, Ziploc, as he gets bursted down as well with the Shockwave. The Assault and Battery comes in, Zamfira gets destroyed. The Hemoplague hit 4 targets there, but it's not enough to kill anybody. He flashes in, gets the Tempest Cripple looking for the Sonic Wave, resonating straight to the wall, gets the auto attack for the kill. The Command Protect comes down as well as the Lantern Shield, and Inox gets a double kill, goes on a killing spree. Flappy Bearfish picked up 1 kill. It was two doubles, one for Nubby and one for Inox. They went 4 for none, and now are gonna look to get a Baron.
Well, NID are definitely showing as to why Lee Sin is a double threat for them. We've seen Scuba Chris use it in the jungle effectively, and Enox is playing like a god right now at 3-0-2. Ravenous Hydra, Last Whisper, and Brutalizer means that no matter what the enemy team's going to be building in defenses, he's pretty much going to shred through it. NID transitioned that really great 4 for none fight into a Baron rather than going for the Dragon that they were positioning around. This is going to net that as an afterthought right here.
Yeah, and just net themselves some pocket change to go back to base with. We do have a pickaxe and a Negatron cloak on Flappy Bearfish. I'm probably looking for maybe a QSS to counteract that Zed, and then an Infinity's Edge to finish up for another big damaging item, which is going to be huge for him. He goes back to base with 800 gold, while Nubby Pooper has 2,400 gold to go back to base with.
Yeah, Nubby's definitely going to have some heavy itemization after this one. He already has an Athene's and a Zanya's Hourglass as well, so going up for maybe pieces of a Rabadon's Death Cap, wouldn't be surprised if he just added on that needlessly large rod, and, well, he actually did after purchasing the sorceries for himself, too. Enox, in the meantime, he says that shoes are for losers. He's using the pool party Lee Sin, so he's got his flip-flops on, and that's enough for him. Picks up a Quicksilver Sash, so being that very highly mobile champion Lee Sin, being locked down by, let's say, an Annie stun or maybe a cupcake he might happen to walk on, he's just going to wind up cleansing that away. On top of this, he's going to be building up resistances against his lane opponent in Vladimir, and let's be frank here, he's been dominating that lane matchup 1v1 without having any magic resistance items until 26 minutes and 30 seconds into the game.
Which is pretty ridiculous for Lee Sin up top against Vladimir. He's currently 3-0-2 still. Gleeblar with the Oracles clearing everything out, taking control of that Baron area still. They have Baron, and I think they're looking to let Inox keep on 1v1ing. I don't think anybody can 1v1 Inox at this point. Maybe not even 2v1, depending on who they send. But now Baron up napkins are looking to clean this up soon. I don't know where I was going with that.
I guess that's what napkins do. They normally clean up spills, and if Cognitive Gaming is a spill at this point, they're trying to mop them up from Summoner's Rift right here. 5 strong from Baron. They're just going to push down this mid lane. They have the Corki to sit here and siege the tower, and they have the ability to either disengage or re-engage with the Orianna Command Shockwave, and of course the Assault and Battery on a primary target such as maybe Zamfira. They could actually nuke out Zane King and then just completely remove the Annie initiation from the side of Cognitive, and they'd have to give up the tower after that.
And the turret is going to fall on a few more auto attacks. It does go right on down. Death Sentence not going to hit barely there. Kind of hit iDream's cape on that Vladimir. We do have Zane King with the stun. He's possibly looking for an initiation here. While Cognitive are on the back foot, we do have Napkins just pushing through. And that the big rocket just hitting everybody right there, chunking them down. That Spell Pen from the Sorcerer's Shoes helping out with his damage significantly there. Sonya's Hourglass was picked up for Idri. Last Whisper's finished for Zed now. They are looking to hold this turret still.
And even though Corki is an attack damage carry or a marksman, whatever you shall call him nowadays, when it comes down to team fights, Corki pokes a lot with his missiles. So in the endgame screen, you'll look at a Corki and you look at damage to champions, he's about 60% magic and 40% physical. So on the side of Cognitive, even though we were saying Captain Ziploc wasn't able to build tanky on Aatrox, he wanted to go maybe for some damage, had to transition into that Aegis. I like the pickup of Aegis for his team, getting that extra magic resistance.
The Flash knockup coming in. Assault and Battery, though, hitting Ziploc. He gets Death Sentence as well. Nubby Pooper, Zoyard, Hourglass through everything. Shockwave hitting 3 members as the pull from iDream comes in. Zamfire picks up the kill on Nubby, though, and they're diving in the back line. iDream picks up a kill somehow. Inox going in the back line does pick off someone and just knocking him out of the air and taking him down. While Gleep Globber 1v1s iDream, putting the lantern through, pulls in Flappy Bearfish. The rocket does not connect, but the machine gun is spraying. The pool is out and iDream is dead for the quadra kill for Flappy Bearfish.
That's a Flappy Bearface Quadra kill, and I was saying I like the Aegis and the Locket acquisition from Captain Ziploc. I don't necessarily like the tower dive into the enemy team, however, is now Napkins in Disguise, not only were they ahead, they had Baron at that point. Now they're up 11,000 gold, the entire team from the side of Cognitive is dead, and they're going to wind up losing an inhibitor turret and possibly, well, with the death timers being a little bit low right now, might not lose the inhibitor, but with Enox and Flappy Bearfish leading the push, I don't think NID's afraid.
Zane King getting caught up by the Death Sentence and just destroyed by the Flay passive from Gleek Blabber. Flappy Bearfish out of mana. They're looking to go back. Snipe comes out. Gonna have Inox blocking that one. Even though he's blind, I don't know how he saw that. Ziploc is going to initiate on him, gets the knockup, gets the crits in from nothing here. They're trying to lay into Inox, who is not the tank with the armor, and another hook, just shutting down Ziploc in the air, as now the QSS will cleanse it away. He flashes for the Pillar for Peacemaker, it's not enough. Nothing here, still chasing this one down. The Death Sentence comes out, but it's not enough to reach, and Zamfire, with nothing here, are going to look to hold off this wave and keep the inhibitor safe.
Well, I was going to say Zane King giving up his life right there to the flash hook from Glue did save the inhibitor, but then the ensuing chase from Captain Ziploc, well, he just kind of died in the same way he died in the last team fight. That the kick came up from Enox in just enough time. He has a massive amount of damage, and Aegis of the Legion not really going to prevent a Last Whisper Brutalizer Lee Sin from kicking you, well, straight back to the fountain.
Yes, kicking him to the afterlife is more like it. That kick does 962 damage. Not factoring armor. And he has all the armor pen. Well, let's see. Ziploc has currently 101 armor, so he's getting through that completely. And that kick is almost hitting for 1,000 damage on Ziploc alone.
That is a large chunk of damage. And now NID, once again, they see exposed inhibitor in their sights, grouping up his 5 members strong. They're going to look to try to take this one down. Zed was split pushing away, so this might just be a free inhibitor for NID.
Yep, so they're going to get that one. The snipe was being channeled there. Gleewabber was looking for the hook, but could not find it. Pop the Shrelius as well. We do have Zamfire applying a little pressure there with the Shadow and the Shurikens. While Baron is coming up in a minute, we could see Napkins look to form around that, as well as take control of it with Vision.
Wouldn't be surprised to see them just take the safe route and do that. Cognitive, they're going to be a little bit pushed back in their base because the super minions naturally shoving down that mid lane, going to keep them back there. And we have Napkins in Disguise now with complete map control because of that. They are going to be able to keep those wards down in Cognitive's jungle area. They're going to wind up going back and recalling. Also, let's not kind of discount the fact that Cognitive doesn't have an exact Baron timer either. All they're going to do is maybe go over there and try to put some wards down, and if they go in maybe one at a time like Zane King with his oracles by himself, there's a hungry Enox around the corner just waiting for someone to check by Baron Pit.
And it might be Ziploc again. He has the Resonating Strike available, but Zamfire is kind of keeping him away from that 2v1. Red Pot is active. He's got boots of mobility. He has wards for ward jumps if he wants to. He's level 18, mind you, as well. So highest level in the game with that. Scuba Chris, though, going to look to clear that ward. And Baron is going to spawn in 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we could see them just collapse on this from the side of Napkins, as well as give red buff to Flappy.
Well, they're going to wind up giving the buff away, and like we said, but Cognitive not having any idea at the timer, well, not that they did actually clear out the pit, they'll know it's up, but do they have a response? Super Minions have not yet pushed down into their base, so they do have a brief window of opportunity to contest, but they're going into it completely blind, so having to go one by one could mean that they lose a fight here. Ziploc, why are you going into it?
Oh god, the Death Sentence connects. Ziploc is going to the backline, pops the Massacre, but it's not enough. As he's going to come back with 300 HP, get taken out by auto attack. Deathmark gets applied to Flappy. He just QSS's that one. Zamfire gets blown up. Zane King coming in a little late to the party with that Annie. Throwing the timbers down, it's not enough. And iDream just gets bursted down. The Surrender Vote comes through. Can they kill nothing here? Is the hook available? Can he do it? Shockwave comes in the Tempest. And Dissonance pick up the kill for Nubby, and that is going to be game for Napkins in Disguise.
Napkins in Disguise with a dominating performance here at the NACL. Week 2, day number 2. It is a 21-5 victory with about a 13,500 gold lead in their favor. Quicksilver Sash itemization means that the anti-initiation or the Zed death marks just weren't working from the side of Cognitive, and that was the way they needed to try to come back into this game, was to blow up somebody who got extremely beefy, like the 10-1-5 Flappy Bearfish, or try to get a hold on someone like the 6-0-6 Lee Sin coming out from Enox. Weren't able to really group themselves together in enough time to stop the Napkins in Disguise assault, and they wound up taking the loss, whereas NID takes a much-needed victory.
A much-needed victory indeed. And with that, looks like we're going to pack it up and go to some quick commercials and be back with game number 4 of tonight, which is going to be